other companies don't realize, like, you have to gain our community's trust. And if you're not putting the effort to get to know us and know that, someone told me at a conference, like, it's very culturally specific. I'm like, yeah, because 31 million of us do it. That is like the burning that I have in my life. Cause I'm like, you doubt me? Watch. Now that I talk to students and people about starting companies and business, I'm like, one thing that helped me was therapy for a year, because that it messes with your money. Like, being unhealed messes with your money in so many different ways. And I think that's the light that came out of the darkness.
Hola, hola. Welcome back to Café con Pam, the bilingual podcast that celebrates the power of our stories, the medicine in our voices, and the magic of reclaiming who we are. This week, I'm sitting down with Doctora Cindy Chavez Swenson. And yes, I am calling her Doctora because she's one of the 0.3% of Latinas with a PhD, and of course, that deserves to be named. Cindy is a first-generation academic turned fintech founder, which, let me tell you, is not a combination you see every day. She grew up in California. She's the daughter of Mexican immigrants, her mom from Guadalajara, her dad from Chihuahua, and spent her childhood at the Martin Luther King Jr. Library with her 3 siblings. She is also the founder and CEO of R.O.S.C.A Money Circle, a bilingual peer-to-peer leading app that is digitizing the traditional tandas that her mom managed on pieces of paper throughout her childhood. The app launched in November 2024, and it's currently undergoing some work, but soon will be available. What makes Cindy's story super powerful is that she's been refusing to fit into boxes her entire life. That's my favorite thing. From being questioned in first grade during the Reader Olympics, despite reading more books than anyone else, to now building a fintech company as one of the few Latina founders in a white male-dominated space. Cindy shows up with ganas to seguir no matter what the world says about her. Y en este episodio, you're going to learn why our parents didn't cross the border for us to stay broke, and how that fire becomes the fuel for building something bigger. We're also going to explore how tandas, those traditional money circles managed with trust and paper, are actually moving $10 billion annually, and why they deserve modern technology that honors that tradition. We're going to dive into what it means to refuse external validation from systems that were never built to see you in the first place. So, if you've ever been underestimated because of where you come from, if you felt the weight of being the first in your family to do something, or if you're building something that honors your culture while creating something new, este episodio es para ti. Sin más, aquí está mi conversación with the incredible, tenacious Doctora Cindy Chavez Swenson. Cindy, welcome to Café con Pam. Doctora Cindy, no? Wait.
Yes.
We have to keep it right.
I always tell people, like, you don't have to call me that, because I didn't do it for the title. I did it for the job. Like, I needed a job.
Bueno, pero like it's you earned it,
Yeah, it was hard.
But the first question we always ask before we get into it, what's your heritage?
So my parents are both from Mexico. My mom's from Guadalajara. She's from this little teeny tiny town called San Andres. And then my dad's from Chihuahua. And they actually met in LA.
Okay. Did you grow up in LA?
No, I was born. So I have a sister that was born then, and I was born in San Jose.
Okay. So I want to talk about the Reading Olympics.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Because when I learned about that, I was like, I got pissed for you.
Yeah.
So tell me what happened.
It's funny because I think my dad remembers it more. I remember it, and I remember a lot of adults asking me about it. And the school I went to was in the South Bay in San Jose, and they had Reader Olympics every year. And that year, I was determined, and I was only in first grade at the time, so I was determined
Like 6?
to. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna read all the books. Now, the context behind that is that people don't know that my dad actually would take us to the San Jose Public Library. It's called the Martin Luther King Jr. Library. And we would go there often. I mean, it was a great way to pass time. It was free. There's 4 of us. We're all really close in age. And so it was a really good time for my parents just to have somewhere to take us. And so I don't think they understood that background, and they made assumptions. I always say I learned implicit bias that time. And
Mm.
I clearly remember where they questioned all the books I read. My mom and dad advocated for me. They even, so part of it is like they read and then they sign. I mean, you read the book and then you show it to your parents and then they sign. And so my parents did. We followed all the rules. I read all the books and they questioned everything. They questioned, how many books I read. What was this book about, this book about? And I just sat there and I explained it. I thought it was part of the process.
Right.
And it turns out that I did win the award. I won it. I had won more than anybody else. I'd read more than anybody else. And because they didn't believe me or my parents, I ended up getting second place. And it's funny because I always tell my students this story and they're like, I go, and guess who I got? So the person who read second was a girl named Karen. And she won the award. And what was frustrating about it is like they believed her, but they didn't believe me. And so I think my parents now talk about it more. They'll bring it up in certain scenarios. And for me, it was more like, this is weird. Why am I getting second place? But right then and there, I was like, that is like the burning that I have in my life because I'm like, you doubt me, watch. And I'm really stubborn like that. I think that's also a good trait to have because I'm like, you have to believe in yourself because no one in this world will believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself and waiting for external validation, it's not going to happen. It's really not going to happen.
Especially people like us.
I know exactly, and it's funny because my major was literature, and so now it's like the irony behind that is that I actually do read books.
I mean, you did. You read then, and you're reading now.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Yeah. When I learned about that reading Olympic story, I'm like, oh. But how many times has that happened to us in different scenarios? Where you
Hmm.
are questioned because people like you don't do that, or
Yes,
we are just overlooked. And
yes,
I think we can weave all of that back to now you being a fintech founder, which we'll get there, of
yes.
being overlooked and dismissed and all of the things. However, I think what I love about your story is that you show up with the ganas to seguir
Hmm.
despite what the world says about you. And
Yes.
it's really inspiring. Where do you think that you get the inspiration from?
Oh my God, you make me want to cry already. I was like, I don't think I'm going to cry, but I might ask my daughter, my husband. I cry for everything. I think the inspiration really does come from my family. I think I always say, and I don't know if you can cuss here, but I always say, and I've read this quote many other times, but like my parents didn't cross the border to be a broke bitch. Like I don't want to, and it's not even financial. Like I want time wealth. I want to have time to enjoy my family, my parents. They're aging. I want to be able to not feel like I have to check in, punch the clock. I want everybody to be a time billionaire because that's all we have. We have
Mm,
money, and I'm money does create the opportunity for time. And Las Ganas really does come from like my parents did it without anything. And I have everything compared to them. If they could do it with nothing, I could do it with everything that I have. And then I tell that story to my daughter because I want her, she has a different life where she's not in survival mindset. She can thrive. And so she tells me all these goals and dreams that she has. I'm like, girl, do it. Do it, like I'm for it. And I keep thinking that's why my parents came here, and they didn't want to leave their beautiful country. They did it out of starvation. My mom, poor thing, she always tells us that when she was so hungry, she had to eat dirt. And I'm
mm,
like, if you've never been that hungry, you have no idea what people will do to eat. And it's not to take people's jobs. So I think that a lot for me to see my parents, seeing their story. They struggle. They have no, family here other than their siblings, but their parents passed. And so I think a lot of it is just like, I could do this and more. Like they built a platform for you, and the goal isn't to stay there for me, at least. They built this. My goal is to now raise it up, and it's
mm.
not like, again, not financial. I'm not talking about being a billionaire. If anything, we're starting to see
Right.
the
We don't want
craziness
that.
with that. That's Satan. No, but I'm more like, I want time. I want time more than anything. And I think that's my movement. That's more than anything that I want to do.
Mm. And I think culturally, have you ever heard of Chronemics?
Chronemics. No.
You're an avid reader, so I'm sure you've. So it's more of a sociology term. So chronemics is the study of time and communication.
Oh, okay.
And I love, because as a recurring procrastinator, I'm always thinking as an ADHDer, so I'm always like, what is time for us?
Yes,
And
yes.
there are two types of cultures in time communication: monochronics and polychronics. Monochronic cultures, usually, it's not fully connected, so this is more anecdotal than anything, but usually tend to be from colder climates. So
Mm,
the US, Canada, Eastern Europe, like upper cold type of places, because monochronic cultures, they exist within time.
mm,
So they trust you when you respect time within the frames of it. Polychronic cultures, on the other end, tend to be warmer, from warmer climates. Latin America, Southern Europe, Africa, like l- below the Ecuador, no? And polychronic cultures value time within relationships. And so it explains a lot about how in the US, for example, because it's a monochronic culture, we are constantly rushing within the clock because we want to
yes.
exist within it. Whereas when you go to Mexico, like I hear people, or like, anywhere in Latin America, people always talk about how like it feels like time is slower.
Time is so slow there. And it's weird because I think because we're here in the US that we're used to just go, go, go.
Right.
And then when I'm over there, I went there this summer, I just felt, and I was only there for 3 days. I was like, I feel like I've been here for a month. And,
Hmm.
it's because I traveled by myself. I wasn't with my daughter. And everyone's like, it's because you don't have your husband and your daughter with you. And I'm like, no, I don't think so.
It's a culture of time.
Yes, yes. That makes sense. That's beautiful. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's super fun. And so when you talk about time wealth, I think we naturally, people like us, we gravitate towards being polychronic. We crave expanding in time.
Yes.
And like, this is why when we gather, even if here in the US, we often talk about the dichotomy of what happens inside your house and outside of your house. Like when you're
Yes.
inside your house, you are polychronic all the way
Mhm,
because, like,
mhm.
whoever exists in your house. And what happens? Dinners are super long, like family gatherings, like carne asadas, like all of the quinceañera, like our weddings are what,
They
days
go for, like,
long,
2 days, yeah.
because we exist within the relationships that are built in time. Whereas
Yes.
monochronic people, they exist within time itself. And so that's why there's a lot of miscommunication in corporate specifically. I teach this when I talk to executive teams about monochrons and polychrons, because what happens is that some people feel respected if you, quote, show up on time, whatever time is for them. And for some people, time is, if we're going to meet at 10:30, you show up at 10:30, right? For other people, it's like, as long as the 3 is
What
there,
is 10:30?
you
What
know,
is
10:30, 9
10:30?
is still 10:30. So,
Yes, yes, that makes so much sense.
it's wild, no? And so as I hear you talk about the time wealth, what I think is us being able to exist without the rush of time.
Yes, yes,
And absolutely, when the tool of money exists within ourselves and the safety of it is there, then we can exist with it within and expand in time without worrying about having to go make the next dollar.
yes, yes, and I think when we come here, that's the big shift, is that we
Mhm.
go from being able to have time, I mean, enjoy time, and here it's like, where do I have to be? And you don't enjoy certain things because you're working so many jobs,
Mhm.
and labor and physical. I think Latinos in the US, I mean, we live up to 60, and I see it in my dad because he did hard labor his whole life. And
Right. We break our bodies.
I think that's what my mission is more than anything, is just it's for me, it's for the community. And when I tell people that, they're like, yeah, right, you're trying to be tech like everybody else. And I'm like, no, I don't even charge people to use the app. And when I was building the app, a lot of people were trying to get me to charge at least $1. And I'm like, I can't do that. I cannot do that, because for me it's more like, well, if I do that, then then I'm just taking from them, even if it's just a
Mm.
dollar. And I had a founder once tell me like they won't mind, and I'm like, girl, that's not the point. They'll just use a piece of paper then, you know?
Right, right. Right, which we'll get to Rosca, but let's keep exploring your story and all of the various moments in your life that almost like kept building that fire within you. Because
Hmm. Hmm.
also tell me about that skirt moment when you were going to the interview and somebody was like, "Where's a tight skirt?"
And it was weird because it was from a friend. And
Oof.
I thought he was a friend, which is worse. One thing is if you think of it's like a
Those are the
creep.
worst. I've had those. Oh, and they feel icky.
Yeah, it made me sad because then I'm like, is that what you see me like?
Yes.
And this is a person, unfortunately, we don't have a friendship anymore. And it was more than that. There was other things that happened in our friendship. But
So tell me what happened. You were about to have an interview.
so I was being interviewed for administrative position at the college I was working at, and I was prepping. I asked my colleague who had been there for years before, and actually he was the one that got me into the position I was in the first place. So I really valued his opinion. He knew the people that were interviewing me. Because of that, he said, "Oh, he would like if you wore a tight skirt." And it was just the most, what's weird is like it was one of those things where I thought he was joking,
Yeah.
or like I thought he was gonna back go over with he would like for you to wear a tight skirt, and then we laugh about it.
Be like, just kidding.
Yeah, like because he's a pervert like that. I thought he was gonna like follow up with that. And then when he didn't, I kind of just played it off at first. And it was like, did I hear that? It's one of those things where you question it. And obviously, I heard what I heard. I didn't wear a tight skirt. I don't even have them, to be honest. I'm like, where the fuck excuse my language, but where does he get that from? Like, I don't roll like that. And it's not a bad thing, but like knowing he's my friend, he knows how I dress, he knows my style. And so for me, it was more like he was trying to get me supposedly to like get the position, but really no, he was objectifying who I was as a person, as a Latina, as a woman, especially as a woman of color, where you're already dealing with people ignoring you or objectifying you.
Mm.
And so either way, I realized like and I go, is this place full of perverts? Is what I said. And he's like, yeah, like that. And then I thought, what?
Do I want to work there?
And and I was interviewed. I obviously did not get the position. A colleague that I actually knew, and he's still there. They're all still there.
A man got the position?
Yeah, yeah. And my husband always he sees it more with me now that we're married. He's like, these things that happen. Like you hear about it, you read about it, but he's like, I see it
But now you see
in
it. Yeah.
you. Yeah, and it really like the anger in him it just like fuels because he's like, don't do that, knowing that how hard I work. And so I think that moment, I also realized that higher ed was a game. It's corporate. Higher ed, people could call it whatever they want. They could, wave the diversity flag. Higher ed is corporate. That's the reason. I don't think education should cost money. I think everybody should have free formal education. I think we have the resources to do that.
Yes, that's right. And it made me think of I recently wrote about having a trusted adult, precisely that. And I agree 100%. Like you just need one person to say you can do this.
Yes. Yes.
Especially kids of immigrants, first, second generations. Our parents are, like you said earlier, in survival mode and they don't have the bandwidth to cheer you on. And so external, safe, trusted adults are important. And so I love that
Exactly.
you're making it happen for your students now.
Yes. Yes. And actually, that's probably why I still teach. I mean, I still teach because I need to, but I love it because I always feel I tell them this, and I don't know if they understand the severity of it, but like, you all feed my soul. They feed my soul because I see like life just starting, even
Yes.
the ones that are returning students, they're mature adults, mature students, and they're coming back. They've had a couple of degrees and a couple of other things, and they're like, I really am not happy. I want to do, and I'm like, do it, keep going.
Hmm.
I'm just a guide on the side. And I think that's helped me keep going too in so many different parts of my life.
I love that. So let's take a quick coffee break. This is a good stopping
Sabrosura
point.
patiqueque.
So, Cindy, do you drink coffee?
I do.
How do you drink it?
I just drink cream.
Just
Just put
cafe
cream in the.
crema.
That's
Nice.
it.
Do you brew it at home? Are you frugal?
You know what? I'm not. I just don't like fancy coffees. Like café
Tell
con
me
leche. So
more.
I'm just into regular schmegler Folgers, but my husband's actually like Pete's coffee and all that. But I am more
He's
like,
the fancy one.
yeah, but we both are like home brewing. Like I don't go to if I go to a coffee shop to like meet somebody or, do a kick, then we'll have like, I'll have a coffee there. But for the most part, what I drink at home is literally just home brewed with cream and that's it. That's
Nice.
it. But you know what?
Oh,
Some coffee, I had students are so sweet. They'll bring me coffee, and some of the coffee they get me, I'm like, dang, this is good. And one student in particular, she told me she drank 2 of these fancy coffees a day. And I'm like, girl. And I did the math.
they're
I'm
like
like,
$6.
yeah, they were like $8 because she got them at Starbucks or the Frappuccino ones. And I did the math. The whole class did the math.
Of
We're
course
like,
you
girl,
did.
what is this? And she was just like, that's like what I give myself. Like, cause she worked nights as a security guard. And she would say, like, it's like I treat myself to like 2 coffees. I'm a girl, do you? But I don't
Right.
need this. So don't buy
Whatever
me.
feeds your
So she
soul.
kept bringing me yeah. So I love the fancy coffee. I just don't drink it. I'm more like I'll drink whatever I have at home.
That's so funny. You mentioned the red brand. I recently went to an event and I had to be there early in the morning, and so usually if I need to be there in the morning, I bring my own coffee because you never know if they're gonna have some, and I
Yes,
also
yes,
add,
yes,
like, a whole
yes.
bunch of concoction to my coffee. So I brought my little mug, and I was like, I could use a top off, porque ya se enfrió, like, I like just to kinda warm it up a little. And so I asked if they had some, and they were like, "Yeah, let me just make you some." And it was the red can, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so the moment she poured she topped off I had, like, half of my coffee in there, and the moment she, like, topped it off, I had the first sip, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't do this."
Oh my gosh, so you're that fancy. I don't even I am not. You know what? That brand is something that I grew up with. You know how you normalize brands that you
Yes,
have,
I
even though
know.
you know there's better out there? That's what I grew up with. And so that's all. And, my husband was in a coffee drinker until he met me. And so we've been together for 17 years. And he didn't, I'm like, how'd you wake up in the morning? He's like, I just woke up. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I need
Mine
coffee.
doesn't drink coffee, he will never.
Oh my gosh, see, now my husband's like an avid coffee drinker. That's like our thing. Yes.
That's so
Yes.
funny. So, yeah, I had to mention that red brand because I was like, "Ugh, Cindy, how do you do it? It tastes like, ugh, I don't even know what it tastes like. Like, I don't know, I'm drinking petroleum or something."
That's so funny because I don't even notice. I'm like, and then we have a thing where we have a timer on our coffee machine. So when we
Yes,
wake up, I'm like, I should be a commercial because I'm
it
always like,
already
oh, I smell
smells.
the coffee. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Bueno, on my end, I'm drinking water already, because I drink my coffee in the morning, but what I've been adding recently is local honey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my mom has bees, and we have like a little beehive in the backyard, and it's a lot of work, by the way, but it's a whole other conversation. And so local honey has helped me with my allergies.
They say that. We have local honey that we buy at the farmer's market, and we put it in our tea. Just
Mhm.
my daughter. So we have little tea nights where the 3 of us drink tea. My daughter's like an old lady. She will not put any sugar in it. She just drinks tea straight.
Así.
Straight. And me and my husband are the ones that put honey and everything in our tea. Nope. She's just like, and my mom and dad look at her like she's just drinking it straight. I go, 'cause she was really colicky when she was a baby, so I would give her tea, but that's all she remembers, just regular
Wow.
grandma tea, and that's all she drinks now.
I love that for her. That's how I drink my tea. I actually don't add honey to it, but I do add the honey to my
Your
coffee.
coffee. I'm gonna try that.
Sí, porque hubo un tiempo como, like, 2 weeks that I don't know, like, we ran out and I didn't wanna take the other bottle, like, it was just one of those, like, se me olvidó, right? And then my allergies just started, like, acting up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we need to get back to the honey."
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So honey.
That's crazy.
I know. Local honey, but it has to be local.
Yeah, we're gonna try some for sure. I mean, I'm gonna try some with my coffee.
A teaspoon a day.
Would you know, like, I'm really allergic to bees?
No
And so my
way.
daughter asked me, "Mom, but you can have honey, but you're allergic to bees." I'm like, "I think it's literally the poison that comes out of when they sting you."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, really severe allergy. I always laugh. I'm so morbid. Sometimes I'll tell my students, if you all want to kill me, just get me stung by a bee. And they're like, what?
Just bring a bee,
It's
drop
because
it
I
in the
have to have
classroom.
everything. Like in my, I have an EpiPen, but, which by the way, it's expired, so I don't have one, but I have like my allergy stuff. I just carry with me all the time,
Just in
just in case.
case?
Yeah.
That's wild. I've heard of bee allergies, but never met somebody. That's how did you figure?
So when I was young, I was 23. So I grew up and I've been stung by bees all my life. But that year I got stung by a bee on my ankle. And I remember my foot, it was so swollen. It was like a club foot. It was purple. And I took Tylenol, I took Benadryl, and then I finally went to the doctor because I got scared because then it was starting to get hot, like my foot. And
Oh,
I was like, and I had to elevate it a lot. So then they're like, you have a severe allergy, like a bee. So they gave me like stuff and they're like, it will progress. But I go, how? I've been stung by bees all my life and nothing happened. And then they're like, it will progressively get worse as you get older.
what?
And obviously being in California and being in the Central Valley in agriculture, we have a lot of bees during certain seasons.
There's bees everywhere.
Yes. And so I've had to just there's times where I'm like, I don't have anything with me, like I'm scared, like there's
Oh
bees
my
everywhere.
gosh. That's wild. Well, you figure it out.
I know.
Por lo menos sabes, and you're proud. Okay, let's get back to the show. If you've started making your cafecitos at home to get on with that morning routine and build the habit of saving money, it could be a good strategy. Pero there might be an easier way to save. Did you know that if you open a new savings builder account at BMO, you can earn a $5 reward every month you grow your balance by $200 or more during the first year? Learn more about how BMO can help you grow your savings by visiting bmo.com/save. bmo.com/save. Conditions apply. Accounts provided in the United States by BMO Bank and a member FDIC. Do you ever feel like money's supposed to make you feel free, but instead it just makes you feel like a fraud? Like, you should already know this stuff: investing, retirement, debt, but you're still Googling what's a Roth IRA like it's a secret society? Let me unmute that real quick. Savvy Ladies is a nonprofit that gets it, and they're not here to shame you. They're here to support you. They've got a completely free financial helpline where real humans, real experts give you answers without judgment. Whether you're navigating money wounds, dreaming of building wealth, or just trying to make sense of your paycheck, this is your safe space. No sales pitch, no confusing jargon, just real talk, real help for free. Because financial confidence isn't just about numbers. It's about knowing you're not alone anymore. Head over to savvyladies.org to learn more. That is SAVVYLADIES.org. Okay, Cindy. So you've talked about your daughter already, and something also that I do think that children come to teach us lots of lessons. And maybe yours, I don't know, maybe yours started as she was born because you chose not to ask for help and your parents were like, oh no, we're going to come help.
Yeah.
What kept you
Yeah.
from asking for support?
I think for me, a lot of it was that hyper independence we grew up with. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to figure it out. And asking for help is it's not necessarily frowned upon, but it's not taught, like ask for help, do it yourself. And I remember I used to tutor this family's children, and they're all super smart. Like they're PAs, or very smart, intelligent girls. And I used to help them with even their college applications. And I remember my mom said something to me then. She's like, if they're so smart, why do they need your help? And I go, Mom, it's not because when you're smart, it doesn't mean you don't ask for help. It's because you ask for help is proof that you're smart. And then I realized when she said that to me, I was like, oh my God, this is like what we grew up with. Asking for help is almost like a sign of like not being intelligent. And it's not everybody's take on it, but that's how I understood it. And so when I had my daughter, she was a preemie. So there was like a lot of like she didn't have any medical issues, but I was very sick when I was pregnant with her. And I think my body just couldn't handle it anymore. And it's like, let's get this baby out of here. And so I feel like it's crazy because my dad's mom was a midwife. Backstory, my dad's actually the youngest of 21 kids. All the
21?
same dad. Yes. It breaks my heart thinking about my grandma.
I need a moment. 21 children?
Yes. And there's only 2 left now. Like, out of all of them,
Oh,
there's only 2 left. So it's my dad and my aunt that are left. But my dad, he would go with my grandma because he was the youngest to all her midwife appointments and help her set up because she was like obviously she was a town midwife, to help everybody with their births. And so it's crazy because when I was the night that my daughter was not due till June 19th and I had her May 18th. And that night, the 17th, I had a dream about my grandma and she's like, don't be scared. I'm going to help you. And I was like, Grandma, I'm fine. I'm going to be fine. She won't be here till next week. And then I woke up and my water had broke. Yes.
mm.
So I feel
Oh,
like,
I
I don't
love
know.
that she came with
Yes.
to, like, support you.
Yes, and I think my birth was like I could have had her in an alley and I would have been fine. Like that's how easy it was for me. Whereas everybody's all like, but that when I think when I had her, it was very traumatic because number one, she was a preemie. Number two, I was still working. Again, going back to corporate mindset, they didn't give me any like what is it support. They were just like turn in your grades. I got a call from the secretaries like knowing that I had just given birth, I was still in the hospital
Early.
submitting my grades. Yes. And it was weird because I thought there'd be more sympathy from other women who no, everyone was just like, so I think I heard this where it says it's not a miracle to have kids because everybody has them until you have them. I'm like, yes, it was a miracle. I was like,
Wow.
Then you start really seeing like the birthing process of like this whole thing. But I just remember like a lot was going on. I was so tired. I was overwhelmed. I was stressed, and I do feel like I had like postpartum anxiety, and I was scared to ask for help. It was an overwhelming time, and I remember somebody said to me, "Oh, you had postpartum depression." Oh my God, I'm so sorry that I said this to you. And I go, "Girl, I'm happy you said it because I did, and you didn't help me." So there's
Right.
that. You saw what I was going through in real time, and you didn't do anything. And obviously I didn't say that out loud, but I was like, people saw me going crazy and didn't freaking try to help, except for my parents. And I think that's the beauty of like, I think it was a lot of healing for me when I had my daughter with my parents because we did bump heads a lot. And I think my dad said it perfectly. He's like, we didn't know how to handle someone like my sisters are very much like we follow the rules, we do what we say, you're told. I think like your concept of like ayadita culture is true, and I see it in my own family. And it's not like I'm saying my sisters are bad or anybody who like follows their parents rules are bad. Like when students, like especially my female students, will ask me like, how did you tell your parents like you're going to move out of the country? I go, girl, don't listen to my advice because I didn't tell them until the night before because I knew I was going to get in
I
trouble.
called them
Don't.
from there.
I literally, when I moved to Korea, I packed up my bags and I hid them under like, I already had my visa, my everything. And then the day before, don't do what I did because it was the worst thing. But I also didn't have that avenue of communication with them.
Claro.
And so as I got old, when I had my daughter, I needed help. And my mom and dad they came through. Like I said, my dad, it was embarrassing because again, like I didn't want my dad talking about like my breast milk, My dad's like, here, drink this juice. It'll help you. And they were just it was just like, go outside. They knew I needed to go outside. They'll go walk and camina la niña. Like they just tell me things. They'd bring me food because, I don't eat. I'm one of those where people say they're stress eaters. I'm the opposite. I'm a stress not eater where I forget to eat because I'm so stressed out. So I would go all day without eating. And keep in mind, I'm like nursing my daughter
Yeah.
and I had no nutrients. And my mom would just come in with like food for the week. And I think that for me was just like, it was a point where like I could tell my mom, like, Mom, can you help me? And she'd be like, I'll be there right now. And my mom doesn't drive. So, she'd be having to like hustle and ask for rides around. And so she would come. My parents came and helped in every way possible. To this day, my dad just had open heart surgery. So to
Wow.
this day, they will do whatever they can to help me. And I don't ask for anything because my dad's still recovering. But like he goes, hey, how are those weeds in your backyard? I'm like, oh, they're out of control. And I shouldn't have said that because he's like, Okay, when I get better, I'll go over there and
La
handle the
tiene en
weeds.
la
But
lista.
yeah, that's what he says. He's like, okay, I need to do this and that. And I think that's the beauty of parenting is like they may not have all the money in the world, but they give us all they have. And my husband sees that more than anything. My husband's like, roll out the red carpet for your parents, roll it out, do whatever you need to do because they are amazing to us. And I'm glad that he sees that because they are. And I think also my husband said something to me one day. He's like, I'm going to be a dad like your dad. Like there's,
Mm.
something like that stood out to me. And I'm like, you think my dad's awesome? He's like, he's the best, He's like, my relationship with my daughter is going to be exactly how your dad is with you. Like my dad is toxic. We laugh because he says toxic. He blows us up. Like our phones, all four of us kids, my dad will be calling us all day long just to see if we're safe and well and okay. And I get all teary eyed because we almost lost him because that month where he was in the hospital, we didn't get those phone calls. And
Claro.
it was, just, I remember just seeing like no calls coming through. Like by the time I wake up, my dad already has sent me like 5 messages, que Dios te bendiga, que vayas bien. Like he's always sending us these like, just things to know that, he's thinking of us. And I
Mm.
think that's also another thing I'm learning is like asking for help is not a bad thing because there's people who love you who will be there in a heartbeat. And I'm the same way. If people ask me for help, certain, like my good friends, my circle, if they reached out to me, like, and even if it's not blatant, they'll be like, I haven't slept in like 2 weeks. Girl, don't tell me twice. What do you need?
Yes.
What do you need right now? Because I know they would do that for me. So I think that's also a life lesson that you get along the way is like the people that are in your circle will be there forever.
I love that. So let's get into Rosca.
Yes.
So did you how does an academic, how does a PhD professor decides I'm going to make an app?
Oh my God. It was so I thought about this idea. This is what I tell my students. Innovation isn't just osmosis, like something comes out. It's always the 3 B's. You break, bend, blend. So either you break something that already exists and create something new, you blend it with something else, or you bend, I forget the 3 B's, but one of those, that's what innovation is and creativity.
Mhm.
And so in 2015, I actually got a grant. So USC is where I did my doctorate. And I got a grant through USC to attend the ASU GCB Summit out in Arizona. And when it was so expensive, it was like a $5,000 ticket and I funded everything, my flight, my hotel, everything. And so I was like, I'll go. I thought I was going to go there for ed tech, but it was ed tech and it was VCs, venture capitalists. I didn't even know what a venture capitalist was at the time. I was like, who are these people? Why is everyone so fancy? And why is all this money here? Like, and I'm coming from the academic English world where like our conferences don't look like that.
Yes.
They don't look, and they're not that fun and they're not that fancy either. I mean, there's nice ones, but this was like money was everywhere and like all this technology and all this innovation. It was really fun to be there. And I remember I got inspired by the person who created Noodle. He did a whole talk on just like the power of innovation and like our ideas are everywhere. Like ideas to create something new is anywhere in your life. And I had explained tandas to my husband because my husband is white and he grew up in the US and he never really I explained to him tandas like how we use them and he's like, that's genius. That's genius. I'm like, you've never like you have to have tandas, like or you have them something else
Deal
like
with them all the time.
yeah, I'm like, dude, that's how I paid for this. And my brother makes me laugh. He's like, that's how I paid for all my parking tickets, like my speeding tickets. So like we use them for certain things. And so I was there and I was like, it'd be so cool if somebody made an app for it, like something where people can use it, the security side of it, all these things. But I thought someone else can do it.
Mm.
Someone, and it's a barking dog when you have an idea, you're just like, there's
It keeps
something
coming
there, there's
back to you,
something,
coming back to you.
yes, yes. And I kept checking, did anybody create something like this? Did anybody create? And obviously there's other companies, money circle companies out there, but they're not specific to the Latino community. I'm like, you don't have to teach us, like just show us how to use the technology. We know how to do tandas. Like we have our system. And I just couldn't find it. And then one day the what was the fire under me? What the fire that like burned and like that's it, I'm done. was actually I was going through, and this is no secret. This is out. Everyone knows about this on this campus. But one of the universities that I worked at, they actually had asked me, they freaking invited me to apply for a Senate position. They invited me. Several people were like, please apply for this, Cindy, please apply for this. And it was obviously, it was going to be a different title. I was going to move from this title to that title. It was going to be a $50,000 pay increase, like all this stuff. So long story long, I did it. I applied. I got interviewed. I got hired. They offered me the job. When they offered me the job, though, the chair, and this is no secret, so I don't even care that I'm talking about it because it's wide open. They offered me the chair that offered me the job was gaslighting me. She was like, "But can you take the lower position, the lower pay position?" I'm like, "Girl, no, I qualify for the higher one. Why would I take the assistant position or instead of the associate?" Or it was one or the other. The associate position is what I applied for, and she's trying to get me to take the assistant one. And I said, no, but do you know that icky feeling, like
Yeah.
intuition? I was just like, I've never had this where somebody sends me, congratulations. Actually, she called me, which by the way, it was not her job to call me. But she called me and was like, hey, you got it. And that feeling, when she said that, she's all, you may have to take the lower pay one because of the typos in your CV. I had several people review my application documents. That advisor that went to Yale, she reviewed them for me. She went through, and this is a brilliant woman that this lady has nothing compared to her. And on top of that, she's bien humilde, but like not humilde, like she doesn't value her. She's just like quick and smart and quiet about it. Like you don't see her
Yeah,
dropping
she's not
her,
boasting.
yeah. Oh, she's an amazing person. And she helped me. So this lady was like, there's typos. And I was like, girl, first of all, you can't weaponize typos on a person that's
I
English is
was
their second
gonna
language.
say.
And there wasn't. And I said, can you show me where? Because I know that's one thing that I have dealt with in my whole life is that they will weaponize typos and grammar on people of color to
Mhm.
minimize their intelligence. And grammar and stuff, that's a skill you learn through. And I've seen plenty of native speakers who write worse than me,
Made
who have
worse
more typo.
mistakes. Yes.
So this is okay. March, I got the position. March, April, May, June. I'm getting gaslit the whole time by this woman. Tell me to take a lower and lower and lower. And I wouldn't budge. And then August came. And keep in mind, I wasn't even excited to start the position. I was,
Sí, después de eso, ¿cómo?
yeah. And her, uh, her husband was a provost at the time. And there was other things going on. I don't know what. I was not privy to that. But needless to say, he was in charge of the budget. How she knew about it, I don't know, because technically she wasn't supposed to know about
That's a
this
conflict, no?
stuff. August, 2 weeks before I was supposed to start the job, they withdrew the offer. Yeah. The anger in me. And girl, guess what? It wasn't even just like a formal, they fucking, excuse my language, they text me it, the
Oh
withdrawal.
my gosh.
That is the stuff I rip them a new one because I go, you know better than to text me. You know better. And I asked them never to text me again, ever. They no longer, I don't care if they have their phone number, everything goes through the university email, 100%. Don't ever text me again. But the anger that I had in me is like, this is the stuff we teach our students not to do. And it
Mhm.
wasn't just me. There's three other people who, and we've trauma bonded over it. It was hard because the three of us were just like, it was three of us that went through it.
And they did the same thing to them too?
The same thing. We were like, what's going on? Like, why are they doing this? But it was all budget issues. I mean, that's what happened. This is what burned. Like, I was
Mhm.
like, Rose, like, I'm starting the app. Like, I'm done. I'm
That's
starting
it.
the app. I filed a complaint. Nothing happened because they all cover for themselves. And I went full on. I said, I was still working there as a lecturer. So I said, you all can't touch me now. This is my paycheck. This is what pays for my insurance. At this point, you all cannot touch me. I will do my job. I will meet with my students. I'll fulfill my obligations, but do not talk to me. Don't ask me for any, because you feel like the token Mexican girl in certain places
Mhm.
like that. Don't ask me to host any like Hispanic Heritage Month stuff. Don't ever come at me ever again. And and I mean, I've used it to my benefit, because I'm like, I do my thing. I show up to my class. I do my job. But after that, it was more like Rosca's gonna come, and I didn't know how or what I was gonna do it with. But it was the fire, and honestly, I'm happy. It was a blessing in disguise. It showed me not to wait for opportunities. They're
Mm-hmm.
never gonna come, and not seek validation for these people. Like they could care
Yeah.
less that they just took bread and for my family. They took an opportunity for me, and I don't care because I don't need their sympathy anymore, and that's what has created Rosca.
Mm. I mean, what a story of I one of my favorite emotions. I work a lot with emotions, and one of my favorite ones is anger, actually.
Well, it burned.
Yes.
Yes, it's very actionable.
Very. And so that story you shared is it's like the epitome of using anger into act, like channeling your anger and turning it into action to for good.
And it was healing. Rosca has been healing for me because in that moment I could have easily and I did therapy. I went to therapy. That was the first time I'd done. I mean, I've done therapy before, but that was the first time I did like a full year of therapy because I also felt like if I'm going to go into um this new space, I need to heal from all that because everything from the guy asking me to wear a tight skirt, from being, my grammar, like, bitch, I know I don't have grammar issues. Like, that is not a problem, and for her to, like, everything was anger into action, 100%.
Mhm.
And honestly, it healed me. I did a year of therapy where I was able to talk about, and I mean, you think like when we talk about sometimes therapy, we think it's like, oh, our childhood, everything came out. It was my job. My freaking job had caused all this trauma in my life, like all this trauma, like having to assimilate, having to,
Code
meet the status
switch.
quo, straighten my hair. Like I was interviewed once and they were told me, and I have very curly hair. And they were like, your hair was like a little inappropriate. I'm like, and this is when you don't know what is right or wrong, and it was just because I wore it curly that day. And my hair can get big. Right now it's not because it's wet, but those are things like you question my appearance, you question like, oh, I didn't wear nylons to this interview, so therefore I'm not going to give. And all of that came out in therapy, and all of it was like what healed me. And like moving into Rosca, like I will never create a company where you can't be yourself, where
Mm.
your physical appearance is questioned because you don't meet like this, or like where you come from, or because you don't wear nylon, something dumb like that. And it had fueled me, it healed me. I saw, I don't know, I think that's what Rosca is. And now that I talk to students and people about starting companies and business, I'm like, y'all, one thing that helped me was therapy for a year because that it messes with your money. Like being unhealed messes with
It
your money in so
does.
many different ways. And I think that's the light that came out of the darkness.
I love that. So when it comes to Rosca, so I know that there's been a couple of iterations, but we're running out of time, so let's just fast forward to what can people do with it?
Yes. So with tandas, I know a lot of people do them on paper. They just write them
Y
up.
el número, ¿no? El papelito.
Yes, papelito. My mom would have like old bills, like the envelopes from old bills. And it works and it fine. Everyone has their own way of doing their tandas. I think that's also another thing that other companies don't know is like it's very personal. You can't create a system that you think works for people when it's their tanda. They know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I created an app where they can actually, and we're working on updating it right now. So we're under construction, but a lot of it is getting feedback from people, different people that do tandas. Like I didn't know my mom did an insurance deposit. So like before you actually start the tanda, everyone does an extra deposit, and you get that extra one once
¿Para
the
guardar tu número?
yes. So you will do
Okay.
like $100 before the tanda starts. My mom will do it, and then once the tanda starts, if there's a week where you can't pay or a month where you can't pay, then that comes in. It's like your insurance.
Mira.
But if you don't use it, you get it back.
When you get your tanda.
Yes. So my mom
Okay.
had like, and no one, and everyone else does it differently. They'll say like random numbers. My mom says she based it off necessity. So when I talk to people and they tell me like how they did tandas, everyone's tanda is different.
Yes.
Everyone. And so our app is really creating whatever works for you. It's also insurance because a lot of people, the fear is just like not being able to get their money. And I'm like, that is the app shows who has committed, because before it's like who hasn't, there's no proof
Mm-hmm.
of like insurance. And if someone takes your money, you take their money. But that's actually not how tandas work. They're very specific to people that you
They're very
know.
trustworthy, yeah. I don't know if I've ever heard of a failed tanda, actually.
Me either. I've heard people afraid that they're gonna fail.
But when they're like, people that are in it, it works.
My mom was just like the banker, and she's like, oh, they better. And that's also another thing. Like my mom has a very strong personality, and she's like, oh, they
Es
know
buena para
not
cobrar.
to. And then she would shame you,
Oh, for
like
sure.
if you thought about dropping the ball. My mom says that she never had this, but there was a time where like if someone felt like there's an emergency and they couldn't pay, then bring someone in to cover for you. Like have a backup person come in. And so I think that's also like very personal. And the app itself is very personal. Like how you organize your tanda is up to you. You want 2 people, you want 3 people. And I look at other companies that have many circles, and none of it is like that. The stranger part, like you can invite strangers. I'm like, no, that's not how our tandas work. Our tandas are based off our community, our people,
Right.
who we know, like who
Los
we
de la
don't know.
cuadra.
I know, like we don't know that person. And so I think I've created something that, and like I said, we're still different iterations of it are working. We went through the beta stage, and now we're going through the development stage. Once I got people's feedback, it's more like, okay, now we have something that we have more feedback on what we can do to improve. And that's exciting. And I think that's what I want Rosca to be, is a tanda that works for everybody.
I love that. So, for the people that may not know what a tanda or because there's also different names for them, no? Like,
Cundina, Susu,
sí,
Cuchuvales. Yes. I'm learning all non-European countries have
they
have a
do?
type of tanda. Yes, Africa has some. Um, what else? Like different. I'm trying to think of people in there. There's the Caribbean has them. One of the cab drivers, I was at a conference, and he told me he was from Haiti, and they did tandas over there. He called it something. I think they're called susus. And he said he did a susu in Haiti before he came to the US. And then that money he used to buy his cab.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so let's break down what a tanda or a susu or condina or whatever the money circle in English, I guess, is for
Yes.
the people that may still not know what it is.
So what it is, it's a way to pull resources and money, primarily money. And now that I've kind of worked through Rosca, and like I've done a lot of just soul searching on like the why Rosca, like Tandas work. It's based off of pulling resources together, any resource that you have, and primarily money is to start with. And it could be money that you need for medical emergency. It could just be security. It could be a loan, but everyone has a number. So my mom uses numbers. And from that number, if you're one, you get the full circle. So, and then if you're two, everyone puts into that circle. So everyone's pulling money together. So everybody in the circle gets money. Someone asked me, is it like a crowdfund me? I said no, because everyone gets the money, not
Mhm.
just one person. And
It's like
so
a
in
rotation
English,
of savings.
yeah, so a Rosca in English is a tanda. So that's where I get the name is Rosca, but Rosca de Reyes is a circle bread, so
Yes.
I've merged both cultures together. But those people, people who don't know, it's not, I've heard tandas work with like food. People say
Oh.
we pulled not money, but we pulled food. So like I think a lot of back in here in the US, when the depression was happening, people will pull in resources like that.
Wow.
Obviously, I had my design girl. She told me her mom did tandas with they like when they do crocheting little projects. So
Uh-huh.
they would do it like that. So everybody has like a different form of tanda in it. And I'm learning, yes, primarily money is because we need money for certain things, but it's about community and pulling in resources. And I think
Yes.
that's kind of like the message and like the drive of Rosca is like,
Mhm.
especially now that I'm meeting new people, like I met you, it's like, and I highlighted you in our Metiche newsletter because I'm like, she's helping me, I'm helping her. Like I have 800, newsletter signups. I want them to know about her. And it's about community support.
Yes.
And that also
Yes.
goes with like we cultures. Like I have all this. I want to help somebody else, have it because they're helping me, and that is
Mhm.
how tandas work with money.
It's so fun. I remember I'm gonna ask my mama to confirm because it's vague, but I think we went on vacation once from a tanda. Like, she was part of a tanda, and then she timed it, so when she got her number, she could pay for the vacation. And as a single
Exactly.
mom, that's how she paid for it.
Yes, I'm telling you, there's so the more I talk to people, the more they're just like, "Oh, we do them, we do them, we do them here, we do them that." And funerals are a big one. Like when people have to pull in resources for funerals.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's expensive to die, and I think we're seeing that communities come together, especially when someone's grieving. The last thing they want to do is deal with like the cost of everything. And so people will
totally.
do a tanda and that person will get the first batch. You know what I mean? Or it'll be a gift. Everybody will do a tanda, but that person will get the first one for free.
Wow. I love that one. That's
Mhm.
really cool.
Mhm.
There's so many ways to think about pooling resources and making it it's circular economy,
Yes, it
literally.
really is. It really is. And that's what I stress to people. It's like you don't have to know what it is to know that it works. And I think that's a reality of it, that I'm not trying to bring the masses to say like yes or no. I'm like, this works and I've seen it for years.
Right.
Like it, whether you believe in it or not. But I also noticed that a lot of people are taking the concept, and this is where the tech space is coming in, and they're like, oh, it works. Let me do it like this. And I'm like, but now you're charging
Mm,
people to do a circle. They're not going to do it. 31
you're
million Latinos in the
monetizing.
US. Yeah, 31 million Latinos in the US do tandas. And I think there's
Wow.
like $10 billion go around in tanda
Yeah.
money.
$10 billion circulating annually, $2,400 average per person. These are not
Mhm.
small
Mhm.
numbers. Like, people are moving
No.
money internally without banks.
Yeah, and it's like microfinancing outside of the banking system. And
Yes.
it's not illegal. People are like, "Oh, but it's illegal." I go, "No, because
No.
it's not over $10,000. If anything, we're pulling small amounts of money on average because we need to pay our mortgage, our rent, our groceries. You have a medical bill that came through, you want to pay that off. That is what tandas are for.
And it's your own money if you think about it.
Yes, it's loaning or lend. Like you can loan money to people. It's $2,400 at your base, and it's like $100. It just depends on
Yeah.
your circle.
Yeah. So it's super yeah. I'm literally thinking about, like, every week you give $100 for 10 weeks, you have whatever that amount is. It's your money because
Yes,
somebody else is just holding on to it for you. It's a great
exactly.
way to save, holding each other accountable.
Yes, yes. And then it also makes you reflect on the people in your circle. Like if you don't
Yes.
trust somebody with money, why are you cool with them? Like I, I don't know, like the few friends I do have, like my ride or dies, like 100%, like they would be in my circle. And I said it's also like a self-reflection. Like,
Yes.
who's your circle? Who's your people? And that says a lot too.
Mhm. Do you see, because this concept of circular economy is more like our parents. Do you see millennials and Gen Zs adopting it more?
I think yes. I think millennials, we actually learned a lot from our parents. And I'm realizing that the younger generation is learning a lot from their parents and their grandparents about these traditions. They may not do them the same because they're digital natives, but they're the ones using technology more than ever. So I think that that's where they may not do it the same way as our grandparents with like a piece of paper, or my mom. Like they may not do that, but they'll do it on an app 100%.
Mm,
So I think that's a reality, is that they're more trusting with technology, whereas the older generation, they'll be like, no, no, I'm not doing it.
right.
With our app, you actually don't put money in the app. So technically it falls under a social app, because that's another thing. Number one, it costs millions to get a money movement license. But I pivoted because initially I did want people to put their money in, but like what it cost me, especially as a bootstrap startup, I didn't have the license to move money. So I switched it to a social app. And then I realized people don't want to put their money in yet. They're
Right.
scared. And so
Yes.
like until they know that their money is secure, they will not put their money in the app. And I think that's what other companies don't realize. Like you have to gain our community's trust. And if you're not putting the effort to get to know us and know that, someone told me at a conference, like, it's very culturally specific. I'm like, yeah, because 31 million of us do it. Like,
It's
That's
fine. We'll be
why.
alright.
I don't need you. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's coming on. We're recording this episode before the Super Bowl, listeners.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, did you see the Elf commercial? Like, everyone is coming through and, like, being like, "Let's monitor." Like, did you see the Elf commercial?
No, I haven't.
They did Melissa McCarthy and Cantoral. Itati Cantoral, creo que así se llama. The gasp in Spanish. So they did a commercial, a telenovela, Elf, the makeup, a
Oh
telenovela
my
style
gosh.
with Melissa McCarthy and the iconic Itati Cantoral, Mexican actress that everyone uses her GIF when you gasp in Spanish because of telenovela
Yes.
for Sunday. Like, Bad Bunny is doing the concert. And then, I guess there's gonna be some football on Sunday. But,
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's very specific, but we are a world like, Latinos, we have $4.1 trillion in buying power.
Yes.
So, stay with your specific.
Yeah, and that's what for me it's more like I just need my people to come through. And I mean,
Yeah. We need to get it out there.
yeah, people when I talk to them, they're like, so I presented at the Dublin Tech Summit in Dublin, Ireland, and afterwards, so I had a little stand, and I needed a bartender because at the end I hosted like a little stand where people can sign up and they couldn't download the app because I can only use the app in the U.S. and in Mexico. But they could sign up for my newsletter and do all that. But in order for them to get a Guinness beer, they had to sign up. So like I made them. The person that helped me, Salvador, was actually from Puebla.
Okay.
He was in Ireland going to school, but he was also bartending and stuff. So he came through and he's like, "You do it for our culture, like tandas, like the tandas we grew up with?" I go, "Yes, yes." And he's like, oh. And I'm telling you, my husband was like, Salvador was like a Salvador, like he saved you because he would not let
See.
anybody touch a beer until they signed up. Did you sign up? Did you sign up? And until they signed up, he would not give them a beer.
I took it
And I
serious.
think that was, yeah, it was so beautiful to see in Ireland, like the community coming together. I tipped him big. Like he got paid by the company to come in and do it. But I was like, thank you, Salvador. Like we like did it. And I'm like, drink a beer, take one with you. He's, I'm working. I'm like, just take it.
That's
But
awesome.
that was part of like the community is like we're everywhere and we're like the best people in the world. Like I will be Latina a million times over and over again. That's how I feel. And that's what I'm excited about.
I love that. So, Cindy, tell us all the places and spaces where people can find you, where they can download when it's ready.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So obviously Instagram, I'm on there. I'm actually banned from LinkedIn permanently because I posted on immigration and ICE and it was nice. It wasn't even
No
aggressive.
way.
Permanently banned. Like I will never be able to create a LinkedIn, but I will. I'll find a way. I even created fake LinkedIns just to try it. And I think it's my IP address that they got, but they will not let me create. Someone reported me. And so I am permanently banned, which kind of shows that I don't want to be part of that space, but I need it because March 8th, I'll be going to Abu Dhabi. I was invited to the Forbes Summit in
Yes.
Abu Dhabi. And so I will be out there. So they can follow me along in the story, the journey of going to Abu Dhabi. And it's called, I have a whole series on, I'm going to do like uh, Latinas in Abu Dhabi.
I love that.
The app is in both in iOS, so the Apple Store and Google Play, so they can download it either way. But we're asking for feedback. So we're currently updating the React Native, so it's a SDP or SDK, and so we're working through some updates. So there might be some delays, but what we want people to do is just tell us like how we can update it. You can send us a DM on Instagram. You can send an email to hello@nopalpintado.net. Nopal Pintado is homage to my life, my culture, and it's a positive take on it because I will always, always embrace my life and my family and my culture and where we came from. But follow us on Instagram. I don't have TikTok. We got banned from there too.
What happens when you make too much noise?
And I didn't even have that many people, but like immediately I got banned. So No TikTok, just Instagram for now, and on Facebook. So if people want to stop
That's one
by,
way to grow your newsletter. So
yes, and then Maticha newsletter that has all the deets on everything. We even have a partner with other organizations like Cultura Chamoy, which is my cousin's business, and so she and I
nice.
partner whenever we can. She's out in San Diego, so little things like that.
Oh, I'm in San Diego.
Yes, yes, she's in the San Marcos area.
Okay.
Um, so she whenever we can host, yeah, we can host events together, or we do a scholarship so people can follow, especially our Metiche newsletter. They can read
Yeah, I love
that, and we'll be posting details. So anywhere people can support us, it would be great. We don't charge for anything, so please know, like, we are we get ads revenue, so that's a one thing where we can grow. So just click on the ad and you've helped us.
yes, 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 yes. Do all the things, listeners. And also, if we get investors
Yes,
interested, you're
yes.
open to get investment.
Yes, I'm all for that, as long as, I'm open ears to anybody who sees a mission, sees a value in us as not to be exploited, but a group of people that are making this country grow and sustainable, and everything that comes to mind about us,
Mm,
positive. That's what we are. That's who we are as a culture, as family, as people. So yeah, I'm interested in talking to investors, and anybody who'd like to know more about Rosca.
yeah, for sure. We'll have all the links in the show notes and all the places and spaces so people don't have to remember.
Yes.
Just go to the show notes and you'll be able to find all of the things that Cindy gave us. So you could go learn more about Rosca and do your own tandas. Why not? It's a
Yes,
great way
yes.
to save money, actually. Okay, last few questions. Do you have a remedio you want to share with us?
I did. I put it on there. You said not Vicks. Okay, so if you have pink eye, or if you have any kind of like irritation, manzanilla tea, like, we drink manzanilla tea, but my mom or my daughter get really bad eye irritations with allergies, they'll put the little tea bags on.
I love that. Manzanilla is magical for so many
It
things.
is. It's got like gas. Like, we drink it every night as much as we
Mhm.
can. Yeah, there was something about manzanilla. My grandma loved it too, so it was one of those things where
Yeah.
I passed down.
Yeah, it's chamomile in English for those that are like,
Yeah.
"What's manzanilla?" Because also the different countries call it different things, that's the other thing.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
how do you step into your main character?
Oh, girl, I don't even have a main character. I am a behind the scenes girl. Like, I think that's going to be the hard part for me as a founder. I am like, don't see my face, don't know anything. I'm
Oh,
a behind the scenes girl, and I love being behind the scenes. And the reason why is that,
you can still be a behind the scenes main character, though.
yeah, that's more my main character energy, is like, I will do a million things behind the scene. I don't want
Mhm.
to I don't feel like I want to be the face of anything. I want this to be like Rosca to be
I can
the
tell
communities. Yeah, I'm like,
because your
you know
newsletter,
what?
I've never seen you.
Yeah, I'm very, very like, and I think also that comes from being, child of immigrants. It was very much like, don't make a scene, lay low, don't complain, and
Yes.
to be honest, it's worked in my benefit, because then sometimes I feel like when I have opened up, especially in academic spaces, like, there's haters out there, and I don't want that kind of energy. So I always
Yep.
open up to people where I feel like I can trust them.
Mm.
It's more like the tone of certain people where they may not want to know, and may not like cheer you on, because sometimes you do need people to like,
Mhm.
congratulations on that. And
Yeah.
so I always tell my parents, I told my dad about Forbes, and it's hard. I think that's also, people don't talk about being a first gen, is that sometimes they don't know what it means. Like, my dad doesn't know
Mm.
Forbes magazine. They don't really know. They're just like, okay, that's good, right? And I'm like, yeah, it is. So I told
Yes.
my mother-in-law, and she knows Forbes, and she's like, oh my gosh, what do you need? What do you need help? So I think it's most just like, you have your circle, and you have your people, and that's my main character energy, is like, let's all do things together. That's my
Mm.
vibe.
Cindy, thank you for sharing your story with us. This was a lot of fun. I think lots of people will get a lot from what you shared. I definitely invite everyone to download when it's ready, and if not, subscribe to your newsletter because I read it. Your
Yes.
Rosca, your Metiche newsletter is one of the few that I actually open and read.
And you know who my dad is like a avid reader, and so he will send me messages when he doesn't see it. He's like, "When's your newsletter coming out?" And do you know, like I said, you just need one cheerleader. My husband reads it
Yes.
all the time, and I know that those two are reading it, and so I make sure, like, okay, is this enticing? Is this fun? Is this energetic? Because sometimes you feel like
Yes.
no one cares, but then I'm like, you know what?
Especially for a newsletter, because you don't get that
Yes.
immediate gratification of likes and comments, you know?
Yes, like, it's like, what's out there, you know? And then I got a troll, I mean, not a troll, but somebody's like, "I didn't sign up for this. This is an invasion of my privacy." I'm like, "Girl, why you didn't sign up either?" So
I
we did
know.
a scholarship. I think people like signed each other up.
Oh, that's funny. I got someone like that once. I shared an email. I tend to write, like, very storytelling, long format newsletters, and I don't remember what the content was, but somebody I mean, legally, like, you have at the bottom, unsubscribe. It's very clear,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the moment people respond, I'm like, "You really have no time in your hands," or, like, "You" like, I'm just gonna stop there, but they were like, "Yeah, same. Like, I never signed up for this. I need you to remove me from this list immediately. Like, blah, 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 blah." And I responded, "I would be delighted." I removed them and I'm like, "You did, and I have the time."
Yeah,
Like,
you
literally
could
at the bottom of
see
my
when they
newsletter.
signed up. I saw she signed up in July. I said, like, you literally can see when they sign up and how many other times they opened it and then read it.
Yes.
And like,
Yes.
so I was like, girl, I did not sign you up. I don't even know who you are. Like,
Right.
and so I think what happened was our scholarship drive, people were signing up their families, without really like
Mm.
verifying because it was more like you can sign as many people up, like that kind of thing, which
Yes.
is fine. My husband's like, so she's not going to read the newsletter. I was like, you know what's crazy? I think being an educator has like, I realized, was I trolled? Am I being trolled my whole career? Like, because the way
Probably.
that she responded to me was exactly how my students talk to me in email when they're upset. And so then I kind of I'm like, I am so sorry for this misunderstanding. Thank you so much for your feedback. I will work
The
on taking
professor
it.
hat came on.
Because I really want to be like, girl, I see you signed up.
Right, right. It's code switching at its finest. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for coming to Café con Pam. This
Thank you
was
so
awesome.
much. My dad loved your title, by the way, because he asked what I was doing today. And I said, I'm being interviewed for Cafe con Pama. And he's like, yeah. And he started laughing so hard. He was laughing hysterically because he thought it was like the coolest title ever. So thank you for inviting me, for having me.
Yes, I can't wait for listeners to hear your story and hear what they tell us. I love getting
Thank
the
you.
screenshots and, like, people saying, like, "Listen to this, it's really fun."
Oh, awesome. I'm happy. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Well, that was my entrevista con Cindy Chavez Swenson, and TBH, frankly, I'm still thinking about that Reader Olympics story. First grade, 6 years old, reading more books than anyone else, and being given second place because they didn't believe her or her parents. Ugh. What struck me the most about Cindy's story is how early these wounds show up, you know? Like how early we learn that the world might not see us the way we actually are. But what's even more powerful is what she did with that information. Because she didn't internalize it as maybe I'm not good enough. What she did is she turned it into, you doubt me? Watch. And that stubborn refusal to shrink, that determination to believe in herself when nobody else would, that is what I think became Cindy's superpower. And I think about the pattern throughout her whole journey, building a fintech company in a space where Latina founders are literal unicorns. Every time someone tried to put her in a box, she said, no, actually, and kept building. And what she's building is so important. It matters so, so much because tandas, cundinas, susus, whatever you call them, they're about trust, community, and cultural practice. They're about how our families have always found ways to support each other, to save for weddings, to quinceañeras, and even emergencies, to keep the money circulating en adentro de nuestra comunidad. $10 billion. That's what's moving through these informal circles every year. Y Cindy, pues obviamente she saw that and said, ella dijo, this deserves technology that makes it safer and more transparent while honoring the tradition her mom kept on pieces of paper. Y ese es el trabajo, ¿sabes? Building wealth and opportunity on your own terms, not waiting for systems that were never designed to serve us anyway, and doing it with that both and energy Cindy carries so beautifully. Academic and entrepreneur, traditional and innovative, honoring the past while building the future. So, if this episode resonated with you, por favor, compártelo. Share it with the first gen founders in your life who are building something while everyone doubts them. Share with the people in your family who still organize tandas and need to know there's an app for that now. Tag at R.O.S.C.A Circle on Instagram so they can see how their story is landing. Tag at Cafe Con Pan Podcast and let us know how this is connecting with you. Of course, we have all the links in the show notes so you can stay connected to Cindy. Read her newsletter. It's actually a lot of fun. I read it. That's how we got connected, actually. And in her newsletter, she breaks down financial topics in a way that is accessible, cultural, and real. Y bueno, como siempre, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you for listening, for continuing to grow with me, for lending me your ears during this time. I promise you, I don't take this moment for granted. Nos vemos la próxima semana y como siempre, sigue brillando. Café con Pam is created con mucho amor by our small but mighty team. Content production by Nancy Jaimes. Podcast management by Maru Linardi. Social media and marketing by Brenda Figueroa. And me, your host, Pam Covarrubias. To keep the cafecito brewing and the healing flowing, join the Supporters Club for only $5 a month and access early episodes, behind-the-scenes vibes, and exclusive minisodes you won't hear anywhere else. Screenshot this episode and tag me and share what resonated. I love seeing your takeaways. Follow on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's keep the conversation going with us on social media at Cafe Con Pan Podcast because your voice always matters there. We love being on Instagram and Facebook. Gracias for listening to Cafe Con Pan, a Spread Ideas Move People production. For more episodes, guest info, or resources, visit cafeconpam.com. And if you're healing from calladita culture and don't know where to start, you can take the quiz. cafeconpam.com/quiz for tia wisdom and cariño just for you.
Sabrosura pa' ti que